3 days before the zombie outbreak, I quit my job and returned to my hometown. While others were still caught up in the rat race at work, my family was frantically stockpiling supplies to prepare for the worst. We transformed our house into an impenetrable castle, and kept one doomsday survival rule in mind. Reject misplaced sympathy. Surviving is the only truth. During massive company layoffs, I had just said goodbye to the 996 routine, took my severance pay, and was about to go out and enjoy myself. Right then, I received a call from my brother. I'm going on a mission to the coast immediately. Something is not right. Go home right now and stay with Mom and Dad. They've already stocked up on supplies, but you need to go back and fill in the gaps. Prepare enough for you all to last a year. My brother used to be a soldier, served in the Special Forces, and worked at the local security bureau after retiring. Back during the pandemic, he caught wind of the news early and forced us to hoard supplies. So this time, I absolutely dared not brush it off. Hanging up the phone, I immediately packed my things and hurried home. After arriving, I dragged my mum straight to the local wholesale market. I bought 200 packs of various brands of snail noodles, 500 packs each of hot and sour noodles, mixed rice noodles, and mixed noodles, 20 boxes of potato chips in various flavors, 200 packs of beef jerky, 250 packs of boneless chicken claws, 30 bags each of milk candy and chocolate, 10 boxes of whole grain biscuits, 5 boxes of cheese wafers, 5 boxes of cranberry cookies, 20 boxes of self-heating hot pots, 10 boxes of braised eggs, 8 boxes of sausages, 20 boxes of tear-apart bread, 30 boxes of spicy chicken noodles, 10 boxes of seaweed rolls, 12 boxes of egg yolk pastries, 10 boxes of popcorn, 8 boxes each of crab sticks and fish balls, 30 cans of nuts, and a huge pile of assorted snack gift bags. We packed several cars full, but just as we got home, we saw a large pickup truck parked at the door, unloading goods box by box. The truck is full of your favorite foods. I specifically went to the big supermarket to buy them. For the rest, just tell the suppliers to deliver them to our door. I froze instantly. I have been busy for so long, but all I hoarded were just snacks and drinks. When it comes to stockpiling, my dad is the real professional. Our family runs a homestay. 15 years ago, when the mountain was developed into a tourist area, the whole village started running homestays. Now, approaching the New Year's holiday, almost every family is restocking. So us hoarding this much isn't conspicuous at all. After 2 days of hard work by my dad and me, our home's warehouse was completely filled. One wall was entirely instant food. Another wall was entirely bottled water. 10 50 gin bags of flour. 50 10 gin bags of rice. Oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, and tea filled a whole wardrobe. We originally had 2 freezers at home, and we added 3 larger ones. 2 halves of pork, 100 gin of beef, and a pile of chicken, duck, and fish. The small freezer was for steamed buns, dumplings, zongzi, and tangyam, plus various air fryer semi-finished potatoes, onions, sweet potatoes, pumpkins, radishes, and cabbages weighing hundreds of gin, apples, pears, and 5 boxes each of oranges and pomelos. Half the room was hung with cured meat, sausages, smoked bamboo shoots, and vermicelli. Another room was full of daily necessities, 30 packs of toilet paper rolls, facial tissues, wet wipes, and 20 boxes of sanitary pads each, shampoo, conditioner, and 20 sets of body wash each, toothbrushes, toothpaste, and 10 boxes of mouthwash each, 10 boxes of heat packs, 10 hot water bottles, loungewear, down jackets, and 10 sets of thermal underwear per person, 20 sets of underwear per person, masks, rubbing alcohol, iodine, vitamins, and 20 boxes of calcium tablets each. Also whole grains paired with sesame paste, and canned meat. Grandma Jiang next door knew I was back, and specifically brought me some homegrown vegetables. I was worried that they were too old to know how to stockpile, so Dad and I bought a lot of supplies and sent them over. Enough for them to eat for half a year to a year. Mum watched us frantically hoarding, and since we couldn't open for business, she couldn't help but complain. You hoard so many things, and won't let me open the doors. Even if zombies came, they wouldn't eat. You two brainless fools. I just took it as angry words. But I never expected it to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. That morning, I saw a video in my university group chat of a suspected zombie biting someone. Some said it was behind-the-scenes movie footage, but the classmate who posted it insisted it was real, and that it happened right downstairs from his house. He saw it with his own eyes. Later, even, SWAT teams arrived. I immediately remembered my brother's words, and my heart sank. Could this really be the end of the world? I tried calling my brother, and sure enough, I still couldn't reach him. He is always unreachable while on a mission. I searched for zombie biting online, and a ton of videos popped up. Real and fake ones mixed together. Completely indistinguishable. I hastily typed a sentence in the group. The epidemic is severe right now. All sorts of bizarre diseases are popping up. Everyone, try to stockpile some supplies if you can. I didn't know if anyone would take it seriously. I had no time to see what they replied. If a zombie outbreak really happens, just hoarding supplies isn't enough. We also have to make the house unbreakable and indestructible. First, replace the old and damaged doors. Then, weld anti-theft grills onto all the windows. Replace the glass with bulletproof glass and apply one-way privacy film. Also, weapons. If zombies really run rampant, we must have something for self-defense. Not only against zombies, but also against desperate people in chaotic times. Stun batons are the first choice, though I didn't know if they'd be effective against zombies. I bought a few more machetes, tactical axes, and drones, which are essential for scouting outside. And my dad's bow and arrows. Dad had never watched zombie movies. He had only played Plants vs. Zombies, so he jokingly asked me, should we buy a few packs of pea shooters too? This actually reminded me that I also needed to buy seeds, fertilizer, and potting soil. In the apocalypse, you have to be self-sufficient. Heading out to shop again. I showed my dad zombie movies at 2x speed. Along with those videos, he didn't argue, just asked with shaking hands, are we going to have to fight these things outside? I nodded heavily, not daring to say anything more. That whole day, Dad fully cooperated, and we divided the work. Paying extra for expedited service, we slowly transformed our home into an indestructible castle. Even my mum bought a batch of laying hens to keep on the roof and installed soundproofing foam. On New Year's Eve, the whole village was welcoming guests and making money. Only our family was constantly renovating and reinforcing. During this time, a young couple came to ask for a room. I was about to refuse when Auntie Lee, who never got along with our family, started making sarcastic remarks nearby. Who would dare stay in a house under renovation? Aren't you afraid of excessive formaldehyde? Dad and I had no mind to argue with her. We were just focused on rushing the work. It wasn't until past 11 p.m. that we finally finished. Outside, it was decorated with lights and colors, extremely lively. Mum prepared a table full of dishes and said grandly, "It's rare to have a holiday. Let's take a break and rest too. If the real doomsday comes, at least we won't regret it." With the mood set, I closed the doors and windows and turned on the TV to play a zombie movie for them. I didn't expect that halfway through. A shrill roar would suddenly come from outside. 3 days before the zombie outbreak, I quit my job and returned to my hometown. While others were still caught up in the rat race at work, my family was frantically stockpiling supplies to prepare for the worst. We transformed our house into an impenetrable castle and kept one doomsday survival rule in mind: reject misplaced sympathy. Surviving is the only truth. Dad and I quickly put down our bowls and chopsticks and went to the window to check the situation outside. The street that was lively just a moment ago was now in total chaos. Under the dim streetlights, figures with hideous faces, stiff-moving zombies, were roaring and chasing desperately running people. A tall man was pushed down by the crowd. A scrawny female zombie immediately pounced on him, biting his face frantically. I was so scared my whole body trembled, and I turned and ran downstairs. A strong adult man couldn't even push away a zombie a size smaller than him. What could you possibly do by going out in these chaotic times? We can only protect ourselves. We can't help anyone. Dad, you misunderstood. I'm just going to check the main gate. Hearing this, my dad finally breathed a sigh of relief and was about to go downstairs with me. But just as we reached the top of the stairs, a violent banging on the door came from outside. Help! Open the door. Please. Save me. Dad and I froze on the spot. On the security monitor on the wall, a woman with long hair had fallen at our doorstep, and a zombie was biting firmly into her leg. Dad immediately shielded me behind him and quickly deadbolted the main gate. Watching the monitor, the woman gradually stopped moving. After a few seconds, her body convulsed, and in a highly twisted and eerie posture, she shakily got up from the ground and fiercely lunged at the fleeing crowd. She mutated. It's a real zombie. With shaking hands, I pulled up the surveillance footage and watched the cause of the whole incident. I saw a car crash into a stone pillar. A person covered in blood crawled out, and a kind-hearted person went up to help, but ended up getting bitten. A companion stepped forward to rescue them, but was tackled by the newly mutated person. The riot quickly broke out among the crowd just like that. We double-checked all the doors and windows. After confirming everything was safe, I quickly took out my phone, wanting to check the latest situation outside. But as soon as the page loaded, I found the trending topics list had completely fallen apart. Overwhelming amounts of hashtags were all reporting the news of zombie virus outbreaks in multiple places nationwide. Looking at the tragic scene outside and the widespread situation on the internet, I knew the situation had already completely lost control. That night, Dad stayed up all night on guard, afraid of accidents. I also stayed up all night scrolling through the news. I kept texting my brother, hoping to seek some psychological comfort. It wasn't until early morning that I grudgingly fell asleep. Early the next morning, arguments suddenly coming from outside woke me up. I went to the window and looked. Outside was exactly like a doomsday scene from a movie. On the street, besides the wandering zombies, there were only mutilated skeletons left behind. On the other side, Auntie Lee was still price gouging, arguing fiercely with her guests. 10,000 for one night stay, 5,000 per person for food. If you don't want to pay, go across the street. Anyway, their house isn't taking guests, and they have lots of food. Let's see who else besides me would take you in at a time like this. Looks like she'd target our house sooner or later. Yeah, but there are zombies all over outside. They can't get in our place at all. The doors and windows are double reinforced. It's very safe. Mum, Dad, don't worry too much. Eat and get a good sleep. We'll worry about tomorrow's things tomorrow. Let's just live peacefully in the present. Mum and Dad went to rest. I leaned by the window, watching across the street, while taking out the 3 computers in the house, frantically downloading TV shows, movies and variety shows. I also brought over all the phones and tablets, and filled them with offline games, novels and audiobooks. After all, we need something to kill time in the apocalypse. In the evening, I secretly sent out the drone to observe the situation outside. I found that in the whole village, only our house, Auntie Lee's house, Grandma Zhang's house, and 3 other households were still safe. The only road down the mountain was blocked by cars. Zombies couldn't get out, and those outside couldn't get in. On the 3rd day, the national news broadcast officially announced the news of the new virus. They urged the public to stockpile supplies and stay indoors, do not go out, that anyone with eyes could see. The situation was not optimistic at all. Arguments in the building opposite echoed one after another. When I flew the drone out, I happened to see a shocking scene. On the 2nd floor opposite, a boy was throwing his backpack out the window fiercely, with the loud crash of a heavy object hitting the ground, instantly drew out all the zombies from the building next door. On the third day, it poured heavy rain. I was surprised to find that the zombies' movements were actually much slower in the rain. Two boys suddenly dashed out from the opposite building, heading straight for the empty building next door. One of them rushed over holding a backpack. I suddenly realized he was the boy who threw the backpack yesterday. That night, a sudden heavy snow fell, and the power went out. My parents and I relied on solar power and hot water bottles to barely get through the night. At dawn, the snow stopped. The world was completely white, as if covering up all the gore. The zombies moved even slower because of the cold. People in other buildings wanted to mimic those two boys and take a risk, but it only resulted in screams of agony. The screams lured away a large horde of zombies, and our neighborhood became quiet instead. During this lull, the building opposite, which had been noisy and constantly fighting, finally made a new move. 3 days before the zombie outbreak, I quit my job and returned to my hometown. While others were still caught up in the rat race at work, my family was frantically stockpiling supplies to prepare for the worst. We transformed our house into an impenetrable castle and kept one doomsday survival rule in mind. Reject misplaced sympathy. Surviving is the only truth. Auntie Lee and her accomplices pinned the young couple by the window, pointing their fingers at our house. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but their intentions couldn't be more obvious. These people must have run out of supplies. I reckon no matter what happens next, we should just ignore them. Absolutely do not open the door for them. Don't worry, your mom and I have learned a lot about this these past 2 days. We won't act recklessly. I almost died of anger watching those TV shows. When the apocalypse comes, the first to be eliminated are those with bottomless misplaced sympathy. Hearing my parents' words, I finally felt much more at ease. But not long after, a violent banging on the door suddenly came from downstairs. I glanced at the TV monitor. The surveillance footage showed the boy from the young couple. He was frantically banging on our door with an axe. This is outrageous. They detained the girl upstairs, forcing the guy to come knock on our door. Is anyone there? Open the door. Please open the door and save me. If I don't bring food back, they will kill my girlfriend. Please save us. He banged on the door while looking around in terror. The zombies had already been attracted by him. Seeing we didn't respond, he directly swung his axe to chop the door. But a few axe strikes couldn't possibly hack through our security door. Seeing more and more zombies gathering around, the boy was doomed. Just then, the door of the old house next door suddenly opened. Quick, child! Come in quick! I watched the boy rush in. Just as the door closed, a massive horde of zombies pounced on it. I'm so mad at this old man. I prepared enough food and water for them. Enough for the old couple to eat for a whole year that they just had to show this misplaced mercy. Bring your bow and arrows, aim at a zombie later, and shoot right through its head. I rushed to the kitchen, tied a piece of pork belly to the drone, and hung an old phone playing a song on loop. Then I piloted the drone over the zombie horde. The smell of raw meat combined with the harsh music instantly lured all the zombies away. My dad pushed the window open and shot an arrow right through a zombie's head. Listen to me, all of you. I won't rob you of your things, and don't you provoke us either. If you dare come close again, don't blame me for being ruthless. This move not only bailed Grandpa Zhang out, but also served as a fierce warning to those who had designs on us. I thought things would quiet down for a while after that. Who knew that past midnight? The door next door opened again. I saw a sneaky figure, holding a bag, walking step by step towards the building opposite. He actually wanted to go back and save his girlfriend. When he was just a few steps away from the main gate, his foot slipped, and he fell hard on the ground. Originally, with the snow accumulation, the sound of the fall wasn't loud, not enough to attract zombies, but under his hand, it seemed he pressed onto some bones or something similar. and he couldn't control himself and let out a scream. Less than 10 meters away from him, 2 zombies turned around and lunged at him, bearing fangs and brandishing claws. The boy grabbed his bag and ran like crazy towards the entrance of the building opposite. Open the door! Open the door quickly! Didn't you say if I brought food back, you would let me in? Are you crazy? There are zombies all over outside. If we open the door, we'll all die. If you don't open the door, what am I supposed to do? What does that have to do with us? Open the door, I brought food. I'll give it all to you. Just open the door. He was chased by several zombies, running frantically in circles at the door. Not struggling for long, he suddenly turned around and once again ran towards Grandpa Zhang and his wife's house. Oh no, Grandpa Zhang. Please don't open the door for him again. The moment the boy rushed to the door, I suddenly realized I was too naive. He had left a way out for himself from the very beginning. The door wasn't locked at all. Before the boy could lock the door, a massive horde of zombies rushed in. The door was instantly breached. Miserable screams immediately echoed from the house, mixed with the voices of the 2 old people. I couldn't laugh anymore. The girl opposite cried uncontrollably, until she was threatened by Auntie Lee's accomplices, and finally went quiet. The next day, when my parents woke up, I told them everything that happened last night. The mood that had just been uplifted for a day instantly sank to the bottom again. At 4 a.m. on the 4th day, I saw that girl sneak out. Before I had time to think much, in the silent night, a harsh, blaring noise from a speaker suddenly sounded. My parents immediately ran out of the room, and the lights in the opposite building instantly turned on too. Amidst the noisy and harsh sounds, the girl screamed like crazy. Mao Bufan, come over here and protect me. The people in the opposite building also ran out, several strong flashlight beams hitting the girl. She held a speaker in one hand and tightly gripped a kitchen knife in the other. We could all tell she had gone mad. The zombies were frantically attracted by the yelling, swarming up closely from behind her. Seeing the situation was bad, Auntie Lee and her people immediately rushed back inside and locked the door dead. The girl chased after them like crazy, slashing at the door, and was ultimately completely engulfed by the zombie horde. There was no more movement. Auntie Lee's wooden door couldn't hold up for long. Soon, the continuous roars of zombies came from inside. After that, the whole village became quiet. Only occasionally did someone come out to scavenge for supplies. Some were lucky and returned fully loaded. Some directly became meals on the zombies' plates. A month later, only 7 households were left in the village. We and the 2 boys opposite had no contact, each saving our own lives. One day, they suddenly shouted out the window, "Happy New Year!" to everyone surviving. I just realized it was already the New Year. Come quick and look, are they writing something over there? From our side, it's mirrored. Luckily, they wrote it neatly stroke by stroke. I barely recognized the 2 words. Bluetooth. I immediately turned on my Bluetooth and found a device named 2 Boys. After a short while, a picture was sent over. Happy New Year, miss. We really want to eat dumplings. If you have any, we'd like to trade cured meat for them. I looked up and across. The 2 boys were waving at us, holding a piece of cured meat high in their hands. Our house wasn't short on cured meat, and I didn't mind giving them some dumplings. It's just that I was afraid they had ulterior motives. Under the apocalypse, one must be on guard. I hesitated for a moment. They sent another picture. Don't worry, miss. We have no bad intentions. Please believe us. Send some to them. My dad said he could always see my brother's shadow in them. I understood his soft-heartedness. I asked my mom to boil an extra pack of dumplings, packed them onto the drone, and sent it over to them. I watched the 2 boys excitedly take down the lunchbox. immediately hang the cured meat on it, and wave and bow to thank us. They also found a gold necklace from somewhere, and a pair of gold bracelets, and hung them on the string. Uncle, Aunt, Miss, we really have nothing else left. We can only hang some useless things. Thank you so much. Having a full meal gives us the motivation to run out. I typed a screenshot message and sent it over. You're going out? Right. There's no food left here. We can't just sit and wait to die. We're preparing to go out and see the situation outside. When are you leaving? First thing tomorrow morning. We'll take the back trail where there are fewer zombies. The only road down the mountain is blocked by cars. If you know how to drive, the first 2 cars are safe and can be used for transport. I told them all the information. The drone had scouted. Under my dad's signal, I used the drone again to airdrop them enough compressed biscuits, sausages and bread for 3 days. On the day they left, I also dropped a stun baton down to them. The 2 boys, just like that, became the first batch to walk out of this mountain village. 3 days before the zombie outbreak, I quit my job and returned to my hometown. While others were still caught up in the rat race at work, my family was frantically stockpiling supplies to prepare for the worst. We transformed our house into an impenetrable castle and kept one doomsday survival rule in mind. Reject misplaced sympathy. Surviving is the only truth. On the 12th day after they left, history repeated itself. At noon that day, just after finishing a meal, a shout suddenly came from outside. It sounded like someone calling my dad. I opened the window and heard old Wang from our village begging for anti-diarrhea medicine, saying his son Chen was dying, and he was willing to trade 2 instant noodle cups for it. I remembered that sweet-talking little boy who always called me sister, and immediately decided to help them. I used the drone to send a box of anti-diarrhea medicine and a few fresh eggs, and attached a note telling them no need to trade the noodles. They should keep them to eat. When the drone returned, it came back with a pack of seaweed, half a salted fish, and a thank you letter. That night, we had seaweed egg drop soup and stewed the fish. Later, others mimicked old Wang to beg for food, but we ignored them. The village became quieter and quieter, and the people became fewer and fewer. On the 127th day of the zombie outbreak, the peach blossoms on the mountain bloomed. The vegetables Mom planted sprouted, and the hens on the roof hatched chicks. On the 186th day, the long silent village saw a vehicle drive in for the first time. I was still sleeping when Mum hurriedly pulled me to the window. We saw a few men get out of an SUV, finish off the zombies with a few gunshots, and yell through a megaphone. Are there any survivors? We are from the military, here to take you to a shelter. My parents and I exchanged glances, all feeling something was off. We decided to hold our ground and observe first. The megaphone repeatedly broadcasted that the shelter was safe and well supplied. Soon, old Wang rushed out excitedly. Finally, you are here. Pla comrades. Sorry, fellow countrymen, we came late. Is there anyone else in your house? No, just me. It seemed old Wang didn't fully trust them either, and only dared to take the risk alone. Pla comrades. How is it outside now? Where is our base? When can we leave? No rush, we'll stay here for a day or 2, to bring back the other surviving civilians. Go pack your things, and bring all your valuables, especially hard currency like gold. Valuables. Are these still useful now? My heart sank. These were not the Pele at all. They were bandits taking advantage of the chaos to hoard wealth. My parents also became tense. If they searched house by house, we wouldn't be able to hide at all. After racking our brains, we could only resign ourselves to fate and pray the worst-case scenario wouldn't happen. 2 hours later, gunshots and screams came from outside. They really were buzz. We saw old Wang's hands tied behind his back, being forced to search house by house. They even found quite a bit of gold jewelry. When they searched Auntie Lee's house, there were too many zombies. Someone found it troublesome and suddenly pointed to our house. Is anyone in the house opposite? Why is the door locked? No one lives there. They moved to the provincial capital long ago. The man didn't believe it and directly fired a shot, bang, at our door. I could see clearly on the monitor. Only a few bullet marks were left on the door. The whole door was completely fine. My parents and I held our breath, not daring to move an inch. The leader took a look, felt our house didn't look like a rich family's, so he waved his hand to stop, telling them not to waste bullets. As soon as he finished speaking, that man backhanded a slash on old Wang's arm with a knife, pressed the gun to his head and said, "Run up the mountain. Lure the zombies away." Old Wang's eyes were full of despair that he could only run frantically up the mountain. At least they needed him to lure the zombies, so they wouldn't kill him immediately. As long as he could run away and hide, there was still hope of surviving. Most of the zombies in Auntie Lee's house were lured away by old Wang. That group rushed in with guns raised. Half an hour later, they came out beaming with smiles. Obviously having gained a lot, they casually searched 2 more houses, found nothing valuable, and it finally quieted down. We didn't dare turn on the lights all night, didn't dare make a sound, and kept our eyes open until dawn. It wasn't until past 8 a.m. the next day, when the sound of the vehicle completely faded away, that they truly left. Not until late at night, confirming it was safe, did I dare to send out the drone to check. Old Wang's son Chen and his mother never showed up. They should still be hiding at home. The drone brought back a note, saying the mother and son hid under the bedboards in the guest room and weren't discovered. Old Wang only went out because they were completely out of food. They wanted to ask if we had seen him. We truthfully told them everything we saw and sent them food. Our family unanimously decided to include the mother and son in our future meals. After all, old Wang desperately protected us at the last moment. Otherwise, we would have already fallen into the robbers' hands. Besides, now everything is coming back to life. The vegetables Mom planted are almost ready to eat. The chicks have hatched, and we are gradually becoming self-sufficient. 3 days passed, and old Wang still hadn't returned from the mountain. On the 313th day, Dad and I were about to go up the mountain to pick persimmons, when we faintly heard the sound of a vehicle. I immediately sent out the drone to notify Chenchen's mom, to lock the doors and windows, and draw the curtains. Terrified it was the robbers again. But not long after, the sound of a child crying came from outside. I quickly went to the window to check the situation, and saw Chen running out of the building, falling on the ground, crying loudly. Just a few steps away, a zombie was slowly approaching him. My dad's bow and arrows couldn't reach that far. We were frantic but powerless. Just as the zombie reached out to grab Chen, a roar came from the opposite direction. "Chen, get up and run. Come to Dad." Chen was too scared to stand up, crying and paralyzed on the ground. A car in the distance was getting closer. Old Wang limped desperately forward, just as the zombie's hand was about to touch the child. At the critical moment, a bullet went straight through the zombie's head. A fully armed man got out of the car, holding a gun in his hand. "Is that your brother?" Later we learned, after running up the mountain, old Wang fell off a cliff to dodge the zombies, suffered severe injuries and a broken leg, and was saved by a self-sufficient Taoist priest on the mountaintop, barely keeping his life. Due to a lack of medicine, he rested for 3 to 4 months before getting better. As soon as his leg could support him, he immediately went down the mountain to find his family. Chen ran out because his mum had a high fever and fell into a coma. He didn't know how to use the drone or write, and just wanted to come out to find someone to save her life. Luckily, my brother arrived in time. He not only saved Chen, but also brought medicine to immediately treat Chen's mom. The vaccine has been developed, and we are gradually clearing out the remaining zombies. On the 374th day of the zombie outbreak, the last zombie was eliminated in the city. This global disaster caused heavy casualties. Supplies remain scarce, and the world is waiting to be rebuilt. On the 397th day, we welcomed the first new year after the apocalypse ended. Our homestay also welcomed its first batch of post-disaster guests. They were two familiar boys. Sister, Happy New Year. I looked up, my eyes welling up with tears. It's so good they are still alive too.